just getting started, taking it back a little bit to your successful playing career with Princeton, is there any memories that like stick out to you in particular?
I mean, yeah, there were a lot of really great memories. I feel like in those first years, I think it was a really exciting time to be a part of Princeton women's hockey program. I think it was a time of a lot of positive change. I think I think that the players that came right before me really put in a lot of work and to make Princeton women's hockey just like the best culture, just an amazing program that, by the time I got there, it was just a matter of like keeping everything moving forward and moving in an upward direction. And, there was this expectation for, your best. And that's something that I think was really exciting throughout the 4 years. It was obviously a constant challenge, but having teammates that, I knew would support me and then also push me to be my best was exciting. I mean, obviously, I think, one of the most exciting moments was definitely, kind of throughout my junior year, just in terms of our towards the Ivy League championship, and then winning the Ivy League championship. That was so amazing just to, really have something to, knowing that you have something to come out of your 4 years, like knowing that, your name is somewhere there in the record books for that feat is something that I thought, was really, really exciting for me and something that I know the girls, in the program ahead didn't always get that opportunity, but something that they, kind of laid the groundwork on. So that was exciting. Obviously getting the chance to play in the NCAA tournament. I mean, it's not that it's something I didn't expect going into college hockey, but, in seeing how far we came in just a span of like 2 years, that was something that I think was really special as well.
That's incredible. So just also, what was it like juggling playing hockey and then just regular college life? Like, how was that like?
Yeah, it was a huge adjustment. That's for sure. Especially freshman year, right? I mean, I was very much so used to having my academics come pretty naturally to me. Not that I didn't study in high school and things like that. I definitely always, studied hard for things and wanted to maintain my grades. And it's not like it didn't always just come super naturally to me, but right. Then you get to a place like Princeton and that is like, I mean, that's taken to a whole new level. And so I don't know that I was entirely prepared for what it would require in those first few months. And so I definitely got off to a bit of a rough start, was ultimately in the wrong academic program as well, which definitely didn't help. So, it kind of took me taking a step back and, kind of realizing, okay, it's okay to, I kind of, because I started out as an engineering major and, it just ultimately really wasn't the environment for me. There wasn't a lot of inspiration. It was very like kind of siloed. You kind of did your work by yourself and,
right.
In your labs and things like that. So it wasn't really the environment that I feel like I had the most success. And so it kind of sitting back and saying like, you didn't fail. It felt like
right.
I failed a little, right? But, you didn't fail. You just, you weren't in the right spot.
Right.
And so that was hard for me to admit at first. But once I did that and, kind of made a transition out of the engineering department and, explored classes that actually really interested me, then I think that really helped to kind of kickstart my success academically, which then I feel like really translated onto the ice. The second half of my freshman year, it was still challenging. Obviously, I still was adjusting to and finding the perfect balance of like, how much do you really need to study for your tests? Because there's definitely instances where you kind of can overdo it and like end up kind of wearing yourself a bit thin, studying for a test that, maybe isn't as hard or isn't worth as much as say another test or just different things like that. It's definitely important to find that balance. But once I found that balance towards the end of freshman year, leading into sophomore year, made the transition to defense, playing hockey, and really found a lot of success on the ice. I really felt like they fed into each other kind of simultaneously, like I kind of, it helped me find my confidence, I guess. I think that was the ultimate, end game to, finding the right academic classes and programs, as well as, making that transition in hockey and having success on the ice.
Right. That's awesome. And that's what I feel like sometimes people don't think about when they're considering like college and what they should do, because they don't think they get all these brochures, they look at stuff, they're like, wow, everything looks so amazing. And then when you get there, you're like, wait a minute, this is not what I expected at all. And I've been to Princeton before, and I feel like when you go on their campus, you're just like, oh my gosh, like this, I have to be like more like there's like that expectation of you to be like just this person of like ultimate success. You're very smart, like you have to walk around, like I just felt like there was just that air that like, oh my gosh, like this is serious.
That is like absolutely true. And it's like when you're there, you obviously feel that pull, but it's like that pressure, right? I mean, everyone on that campus is used to being, top of their class, like
right
out for something, right? And they're used to being kind of like, they talk about it, you're so used to being the big fish in a small pond. And then you get to and everyone wants to like uphold that and not show any weakness for some reason, even though like ultimately that's one of, besides then the transition to, quote unquote, the real world after your 4 years, that is like one of the biggest transitions of your life. And so the fact that people don't they don't talk about it, they don't want to reach out for help, they don't like that. So that pressure was definitely weighing on me a lot going into college, and then in that first semester. And I remember my mom, she knew I was struggling a lot, and she, being only 45 minutes away from home, she would come up during the weeks and like have dinner with me certain nights. And I remember like just having like the one night she came and, just having like sitting down with her and like finally admitting, and it was like, it was very nerve-wracking for me to, kind of sit down with her and be like, something's got to give kind of thing, because I was telling her, I was like, I feel like I'm drowning within my academics, and that is like really piling onto other things. When you're really struggling in one area, you feel like because you then have to dedicate so much extra time to that, it really from the other aspects of, your college life, which are important. And I remember telling her, like, I don't know that I can keep doing this. Like, I don't know what I need to do, but I can't keep going like this. And, she basically told me, she was like, okay, hon, well, Princeton is not the place that you leave. So that is off the table. So like, change your major then, she was like, it's not, you don't have to, it's crazy that, a place asks you to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're 16 years old. Right. So she was like, you have to realize that, and it's not a bad thing for you to want to try something else, that's okay. But she was like, you can't sit here and tell me that you want to leave Princeton. That's not something that you do, that's, you need to just figure out another way to, find success here and, just try something else. And so once she said that, I was like, okay, it kind of lifted the weight of like, what are other people going to think when I say that, I switched majors or whatever the case might be. But I think ultimately that really helped me to, kind of accept the fact that it just wasn't the right spot for me initially. But it was definitely, it's tough because you're trying to like uphold this demeanor and like this picture of yourself, which I think is a lot to expect out of like a 17-year-old or, 18-year-old going into a brand new place, living on your own for the first time, and all these just different transitions. So, that was was definitely tough, but I think it was an important kind of like transition point in my college career.
That's incredible. So now that you're going to be a coach at Arcadia, what has the recruiting process been like during COVID?
Yeah, I started back in October of 2019. So that I think is when you look at it now, that is like one of the greatest blessings of my life because, there obviously there's been a lot of cancellations, a lot of last minute adjustments, depending on where you're at in the country. Mm-hmm. Some kids weren't even allowed to practice. And so that's definitely, it's made it a bit harder. But at the same time, I think that, it hasn't made too much of an impact on, my recruiting plan. And, now that I have a staff as well, kind of like our recruiting plan moving forward, it's right. Now, instead of going to the tournaments, you're watching online. I think that has obviously been extremely helpful, but, it also, not the feeds aren't always great, right? On like live things like that, but, you're able to make do. And something that has definitely been helpful for us is that, Arcadia's campus has been open for tours and visitors throughout, it basically opened up towards the end of the summer last year. So, we were closed for a little bit, but that was pretty much when, nobody had the expectation to travel or visit places. And so having the opportunity that, having an open campus that's open for tours and, being allowed to bring recruits on campus, that definitely eases, kind of the stress of having to only be watching games online and things like that, because you still have the opportunity to meet kids and show them, what campus is like in real life.
Right.
So that's definitely helped. But obviously having the entire previous year to be on the road recruiting and seeing as many kids as possible, that I think, really made this process a lot easier, having to do everything virtually now.
Right. So did you know that you always wanted to coach college hockey?
I wouldn't say that it's something that I always knew. I think that at the end of the day, like towards my junior and senior year, when I really started thinking about like, okay, what's my plans post college? It was definitely something that was in the back of my mind, right? I knew, I didn't necessarily know, like I grappled a lot with, coaching youth, coaching, making that my full-time job. I didn't know that was, what I ultimately wanted to do. I think in the back of my mind, right, that coaching college hockey was kind of, that pedestal that if I were to get into coaching, that this is ideally what I would want to do. And so, I think obviously having the opportunity when it arose and, where it is something that, knowing that in the back of my mind, I couldn't pass up on, at least trying and submitting my resume and things like that.
Right. So now getting outside of coaching and work and stuff, you were very active in the hockey world, and you were just on another special edition of the Soul on Ice where you got to interview Angela James. So I just personally found out about her myself just a few years ago. So what was it like being able to chat with her, like in that close space like that?
Yeah, it was incredible. You obviously, you read all about someone like Angela James and you watch as many clips as possible and read as many articles, but, you never truly know what to expect when you get the opportunity to actually speak with the person. Right. And to have a personality like Angela James and in that kind of setting, it was so natural, right? It was so easy to have a conversation with her. She is, she's real. She understands real life and she's not afraid to say it how it is. And, I think that's something that made the conversation really special is, just her personality and her ability to, like, joke around with things and, and really just be honest and be open and kind of really lay things out on the table and not try to sugarcoat things. That was something that I think, I was really pleased with the conversation, how it went. And it made it really easy to, kind of open up with your own vulnerabilities about, experiences that you've had playing and things like that. So I think that, having the opportunity in a setting like that was really incredible, just to feel like you truly got to know who she is in terms of her personality, as opposed to a different setting where it's more of a Q&A and less conversational.
Right. I felt like when I was listening to it, it was when she started talking, I was like, oh my gosh, she just sounds like she's talking to friends. Yeah. Like she doesn't even sound like she's being interviewed. She didn't put on like a voice like, oh, thank you so much. Like she was just like, hey, what's up? How you guys doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing I didn't want it to end when I was listening to it. I was like, wow. And when you guys asked her about where she was when she found out she was going to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame, I don't want to spoil what she said, but I laughed for like a good 2 minutes after what she said.
Yeah, I mean, and
so
that's right. That's like, that's so her. I mean, and that is what I think is so incredible about her and about her story, is that she's not afraid to just be herself. And I think that that's what got her to the places that she's at, right? Just being genuinely herself and not really caring what other people think or what people think she's supposed to, how people think she's supposed to act, or, what the case might be. I mean, that's what makes her Angela James. And I think if she didn't have that demeanor and that personality, it might've been a different story. I mean, she obviously had a lot of obstacles that she faced throughout her early years and playing career. And, if she didn't have that demeanor of like, I'm me and you guys get to deal with it, then I think, things could have definitely been a lot different.
Right. So as we wrap up, we're just going to do our quick lightning round questions. So coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay. Favorite pregame meal?
Oh gosh. I'm trying to think back to college, and this is supposed to be quick. I guess I would probably say like a bagel.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's different. So favorite.
Yeah. I mean, like chicken and pasta is not really my kind of thing, which I know
can't do chicken and pasta
standard.
Either. Yeah. Not before a game.
Yeah.
No. So your favorite hockey team?
The Flyers, unfortunately.
Okay, nice.
Last night.
I know. Yeah. Last night was horrible.
I turned it off. I couldn't watch.
One person who's inspired you?
I think I answered the same way last time, but my mom.
Nice. The Mighty Ducks movie or Miracle?
Miracle.
Okay. And last one, Night Owl or Early Bird?
Night Owl.
Okay, nice. So before we go, where can our audience find you on social media?
I'm on every platform. I'm on, except for TikTok, but I got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Obviously the Arcadia Women's Hockey Program has social media pages on Instagram and Twitter as well. So, absolutely go and follow along. I can be, my Instagram handle is, as I look it up right now, K Koelzer 11. And then, Arcadia is Arcadia_WIH. So we would absolutely love the followers. We're trying to boost our social media presence as we head into our first inaugural season. So it's definitely, you can find us there and get the inside scoop on what's going on with Arcadia women's ice hockey.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today, and good luck to you in your first season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.